four Ps of marketing were created before the internet, social media, smartphones, e-commerce, and obviously generative AI. While they still have their place, how should marketers rethink the framework to make it more relevant to today's challenges? What should we be considering beyond product, place, price, and promotion? Marketing and sales are full of myths, misconceptions, and sometimes outdated frameworks. Join us as we get out of the echo chamber and take the four Ps from theory to practice with a healthy dose of modernity.
Hello and welcome to the Rethink Marketing Podcast, where we strive to help our listeners hone their craft in bite-sized segments. I'm Paul Frodge, joined by Mr. Marketing, and for today's conversation, the tour de force of faithfully finding functionality in the familiar four Ps. Colin Jeffries. Colin, how are you today?
Oh, Paul, I'm great. I guess I'm feeling powerful with the tour de force moniker here.
Absolutely. Just coming off of all the marathons around the country, right?
Yeah, right, yes. None of which I competed in, just to be clear.
There you go. All right. So what are we discussing today?
Well, Paul, we're talking about the new four Ps, the old four Ps being product, place, price, and promotion. Last week, we talked about people as a foundation of the new four Ps. Today, we're pulling product in. Product is still really important, but instead of us talking about unique features and benefits, I want us to think about customer touchpoints, because the product that we're selling now is typically not just a widget. It's typically the process leading up to that. So our marketing, our advertising, our chatbot, how we're answering the phone, how we're responding to form fills, how we're answering things on social media, how we're replying to reviews, how we're coaching customers to leave reviews, all of those things. Then we get into the actual buying process, and it's how easy is it to check out? How easy is it to return? How easy is it to get my invoice, to pay my invoice? All of these features and factors that go into the product itself, because it's not just the widget that shows up or the service that's delivered. It's everything that encapsulates that. And that's really what we're talking about today, is product as every touch point.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. A lot of times with our clients, we are talking about going beyond just whatever is being purchased. It's that customer experience. It's how they feel in the process and after the process is over, and throughout the longevity of whatever product or service is being bought. So I really like this topic, and an opportunity to expand all of those marketers that are listening thought beyond just the sale.
Absolutely. And I would say part of product now too is the original four Ps, again, postulated in the 1960s. If you didn't listen to last week's episode, which might be helpful in understanding where we're going with this week's episode a bit. But all that to say is the media mix back then was basically print, TV, radio, with customers often mailing forms in or making phone calls during business hours, those sorts of things. Today, we expect an instantaneous response across every channel, and we expect that response to be accurate and to tell us exactly what's going on. We expect to be able to reach people 24 hours a day. So when we're thinking about product, a differentiator for quote unquote the product may actually be the customer service that's leading up to that. Or again, if we have an issue as buyers or as customers, it might be what's going on behind the scenes from a customer service or a customer success, to use a B2B term. That might actually make a big difference versus the widget or the software or the service itself.
Yeah, actually, you and I were talking before the episode, and you were talking about how easy it is to purchase things online now, right? I've already gotten my cup of water, but you had talked a little bit about how easy it is to purchase things as a quick click of a button on your mobile device. If you've got a certain platform that you like to order things from, but the opportunity to order something online quicker than I could have gotten my drink of water, right? So you want to expand on that a little bit?
Yes, absolutely. So I imagine everybody listening to the podcast right now is doing it on one of two platforms, primarily probably a smartphone, and secondarily, perhaps a desktop computer or a laptop. So if someone's using one of those internet-enabled devices, they can literally pull up Amazon or their e-commerce choice du jour, and they can literally pull up that platform and buy a motorcycle within a couple of seconds. And I say that because when we're thinking about a motorcycle, that traditionally is a product where it was a destination purchase. You would drive to the Honda dealership or the Harley dealership or the BMW dealership or what have you. You would drive the motorcycle, you would test it out, you would see how it handled. There were all these factors, right? And now literally you can buy one and have it shipped directly to your house. You can use your credit card, right? You don't even have to have the money for it, I guess. There are all of these things where today's marketplace is not the marketplace of 15 or 20 or 25, or in this case, we're talking about the 1960s, right? We're in a completely different marketplace. And things like reviews, speed to purchase, etc., matter a lot more than the quality of the product itself. If I'm buying a motorcycle on the internet, I probably don't expect it to be the most mechanically sound or the highest quality, right? However, it's quick. I can look at ratings, I can look at the reviews, I can have it delivered to my house. It's convenient. In fact, it's more convenient for me to buy a motorcycle on my phone than it is for me to stand up, walk down the hall, get a glass out of the cabinet and fill it up with water. And we live in a time when water has never been cleaner or more accessible. So, again, Paul, just to think about the environment in which we're living, in which we're marketing and trying to grow organizations, the product itself, the experience, the environment, all of that, it can't just be the default. We can't expect people to come to our destination to buy our motorcycles, so to speak, because that's how they've always done it. We have to be thinking about how our consumer preference is changing. How is the buying process changing? And if you don't believe, just as a quick aside, if you don't believe that people are buying motorcycles online, go on Amazon, look up adult motorcycles, and you can see the tens of thousands of reviews for some of those products. So again, the way that people have always done things is evolving and changing. And we have to think about how they're experiencing our, again, when I say product, I mean the entire experience, the entire array of touch points with our brand. All right, Paul, I'm done sucking all the oxygen out of the room. I'll kick it back to you.
Yeah, absolutely. You look at certain things that consumers get very impatient with, right? If you can't buy something quick, if the customer journey in many cases are more than seconds or minutes, people get impatient. You think about, go to an amusement park and the opportunity to buy a fast pass so that you can skip the line. Wish those were available when I was a kid, but it's the on demand perspective that everybody has, because we have been spoiled by so many different companies. And if you're not being spoiled by a certain company, you're going to go elsewhere. So the opportunity for quick, obviously, there's things with a product that have to still be there with quality and service, and all of that is now that comes standard or expected. But the quicker to market, the quicker to purchase, the opportunities to really have that customer experience where you can purchase something and be out the door, purchase something online and it be shipped within hours, is becoming more and more standard.
Yes, Paul, that actually harkens back to something that you said a couple of episodes ago about productization and how we as service businesses should be looking to productize what we're offering so that way, exactly what you just said, we can standardize it, we can make it easy, we can streamline it, etc. If we're not being strategic with every touch point that we're having with customers and how customers are viewing our product and interacting with our product, then we risk that very, very valuable, often very expensive customer engagement is they experience just what we looked at as the path of least resistance. I think about when chatbots became very popular, probably around 10 or so years ago. And it was very quick and easy to set up a chat bot that was automated that would respond. And the customer experience for those was terrible because every business looked at them as a commodity and they were rolling out all of these chatbot features without putting a lot of intentionality or being very deliberate with what the chatbot was actually doing. And so it became more of a stalemate almost with customers where they would go on and it would say, hey, talk to the chatbot. And they would say, please help me with this thing. And the chatbot would say, I can't really help you with that, but there'll be an agent available at 6 a.m. tomorrow. And you're just stuck until the next day because the chatbot's actually useless in certain situations. So all that to say, as we're thinking about how do we want customers to interact with our brand? What do we want them to think about us? How do we want them to feel once they've gone through this particular thing, like engage with a chatbot, call us, etc.? That's really where the intentionality steps in. And we have to go from this sort of unplanned default to a carefully designed, carefully curated experience across the entire spectrum.
I'm thinking a little bit about the speed to market and the opportunity to buy, and be interesting now. Now it's got my attention to do a little bit more research on some Amazon products. You go into the checkout of the cart and the opportunity to pay a little bit. Most of the time, it's free, but there's oftentimes if it's a third party in the marketplace where you can pay a little bit more and get it shipped the next day, or you can wait a week to 10 days and it's free. I'd be interested and curious and doing a little bit more homework on that piece to see how many people are actually paying a little bit more to get it quicker.
Absolutely. And that's kind of the nice thing too, is if we are deliberate about the experience, we can eat some of those costs. We can stretch to make things better or faster or what have you. But we can also then push it to the customer and let them decide, hey, you're getting the same quality product, billed at the same exact rate, all these other things. And you get to pick if you want it faster for a little bit more, or if you want it slower for a little bit less, and let them select that value. It goes back a little bit to the autonomy theory that we had talked about, I think a couple of weeks ago, Paul. So very, very interesting to layer on other things like conversion rate optimization, autonomy bias, those sorts of things where we can recognize the behavioral science behind what we're trying to do and then allow people to make their own choices within a framework that curates the experience in the environment exactly the way that we want. So that way, our people, the processes, everything are sort of packaged up into the brand. And then that allows us to go to market in a very consistent way.
So, Colin, in this episode, we talked about product, and in this series and of 4 episodes, talking about the 4 Ps and how we're reimagining and rethinking the 4 Ps of marketing. And it was interesting to talk a little bit more about product, and it's not just what you're purchasing, but the entire customer experience. So, until next time, keep rethinking those common assumptions, and we'll see you on the next episode talking about process.
Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If people want to connect with us, where should they go, Paul?
RethinkMarketingPodcast.com, Colin. What can listeners do to help us in return for the sage marketing wisdom and our pithy humor?
They can help us by leaving a review on their favorite platform or sharing this episode with a fellow marketer to help them cut through the clutter.
Well, until next time, keep rethinking those common assumptions.